What do you get when you mix piano ballads, rap verses, circus-level live shows, and two guys from Ohio in ski masks? You get one of the strangest success stories in modern music. This is the story of how 21 Pilots went from handing out tickets in parking lots to selling out arenas all around the world. From basement recordings to Grammy wins. From a local scene oddity to a genre-defying global phenomenon with a fanbase that decodes cryptic websites like it's a religion. But behind the jumpsuits and radio hits is a band that's always wrestled with big questions about purpose, fear, and what it means to stay true to yourself when the whole world is watching. This is the strange history of 21 Pilots, right here on Common Revolt. What's up, everyone? My name is Tyler Common, and this is Common Revolt. In an industry that loves labels, 21 Pilots never quite fit in. They weren't quite rock, not exactly rap, too weird for pop radio, and yet somehow they became one of the biggest bands of the 2010s, all by carving out their own lane. Their story isn't one only about hit singles and viral moments. It's about building something from the literal ground up, creating a world for fans to live in, and constantly redefining what it means to be a band in the 21st century. I've lived in Metro Detroit for my entire life, and Michigan isn't too far away from Ohio. With that bit of context, I remember when 21 Pilots was just a local show trade band from Ohio, playing local gigs whenever they could, and I even dug up some of the flyers I could find to prove it. On the far left of that flyer, that's my friend John, who often plays drums for my band, Novelty Songs.
So long and lonely road, feel at home.
If you're interested in hearing that, I'll include a link in the description. In this video, I'm going to take you through a deep dive and explore how two guys from Columbus, Ohio turned basement shows into arena tours, how they use narrative, visual language, and a fiercely loyal fan base to create something that extends far beyond any single song. From their earliest DIY days to their upcoming new album due out this September called Breach, you're watching the strange history of 21 Pilots right here on Common Revolt. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more video essays like this one. In 2009, three college friends in Columbus, Ohio, Tyler Joseph, Nick Thomas, and Chris Sully, decided to form a band. They nearly called themselves Bicycle Thief or even Chill Coat before Tyler landed on the name 21 Pilots. Inspired by the Arthur Miller play All My Sons. In that very play, a factory owner knowingly sends out faulty airplane parts, ultimately leading to the death of 21 Pilots. The story's moral crossroads resonated with Tyler. He later explained that the band's name is a reminder to do what is right over what is easy, a philosophy that would guide their music and decisions. With a name and a newfound purpose, the trio moved into a house together and set up shop in the basement to write and record their very first songs. Right from the start, 21 Pilots was a DIY operation. They self-recorded and self-released their self-titled debut album, releasing it on December 29, 2009. Also, side note, the Recording Industry of America certified this album as gold, which equates to 500,000 units sold. The group began playing every local show they could book, touring around Ohio in beat-up vans and small cars. Their early audiences were tiny and diverse. One night, they might play at a hardcore punk club, the next, an open mic, or even a coffee shop. This eclectic scene pushed Tyler to blend genres in his songwriting, mixing piano pop, hip-hop beats, rock, and even ukulele into something unique. To grab the attention of indifferent crowds and stand out on crowded bills, the band got creative with theatrics. They donned face paint, masks, and improvised costumes. Tyler would even do acrobatics on stage. These antics, including Tyler backflipping off of his piano or performing in a skeleton hoodie, made audiences take notice and would later become signature elements of their live shows. Their grassroots marketing was just as unconventional. In the absence of a big label or PR team, Tyler's mom would stand outside Ohio State University handing out free show tickets to passing students. The band also entered local Battle of the Bands contests to build buzz one small victory at a time. Slowly but surely, 21 Pilots cultivated a loyal local following. At early shows, a handful of fans would sing along to songs like Aircatcher and Trees, giving the trio a jolt of confidence that maybe they were onto something special. They were still playing in tiny venues, sometimes for crowds of a dozen people, but the energy was building. Behind the scenes, Tyler was the creative engine, often writing songs alone in his bedroom. He'd been making music since high school, and even released a solo EP in 2007. And now he poured his soul into the band's material. Nick held down the bass and keyboards, while Chris played drums and managed to record the band using a little home studio he built himself. All three members juggled day jobs, college classes, along with band practice, running on passion and late-night Taco Bell runs. But the strain took its toll by 2011. Chris began feeling the financial pressures of adulthood, announcing in May that he had to leave to focus on work, and Nick followed in June to return to school. Both members posted heartfelt farewell notes on Facebook, stressing that there was no bad blood, only real-life responsibilities calling. For Tyler, this was a crushing moment. The band was on the brink of breaking up just as they started to gain local momentum. But all was not lost. Along came Josh Dunn, a tattooed drummer who worked with Chris at Guitar Center, who had occasionally watched 21 Pilots from the sidelines. Josh loved what he saw in Tyler's music, the emotional lyrics and genre-bending sound. And when Chris asked him to take over on drums, he did not hesitate. In the summer of 2011, Josh officially joined 21 Pilots, transforming the group into the duo we know today. Tyler and Josh clicked immediately. Josh even quit plans to move to Nashville, believing that this little band from Columbus had the potential to be something more. With renewed energy, the pair forged ahead, determined to prove that the two could pilot this vessel just fine. Now reduced to a two-man army, 21 Pilots wasted no time. Tyler and Josh wrote and self-produced a second record, Regional at Best, released on July 8, 2011. To celebrate, they held a free CD release concert on the grounds of New Albany High School in their home state, a humble venue for what was essentially a relaunch of the band. Regional at Best showed the first sparks of the duo's evolving sound. It carried forward some songs from the first album, but also introduced fan favorites like Guns for Hands and Car Radio. In fact, Tyler recorded most of it himself, with Josh contributing drums. Effectively a passion project, pressed into CDs and handed out at shows. Original copies of the CD are now a collectible within the 21 Pilots fanbase, and go for a decent chunk of change over on Discogs. The album even featured a guest verse from Tyler's college friend Joseph and a cameo by his younger brother Zach on the emotional song Kitchen Sink, a sign that this was still a tight-knit family and friends operation. By late 2011, the hometown hype was snowballing. The duo gigged relentlessly around Columbus and neighboring states, promoting their music through social media and good old-fashioned word of mouth. In November of 2011, their hard work paid off in a big way. 21 Pilots sold out the Newport Music Hall, one of Columbus's larger venues. This was the kind of turning point every local band dreams of. The sold-out show created a buzz beyond Ohio, catching the attention of several record labels. Industry A&R reps started showing up at their shows, curious if the band's appeal could extend nationally. Amid this momentum, Tyler and Josh kept engaging their growing fan base, a community that would soon dub itself the Skeleton Clique. The name comes from the skeleton masks and imagery that the band used on stage and in artwork, and clique signifying the tight bond among fans. The early fan community was small but fiercely devoted. They memorized lyrics, wore homemade face paint and skeleton hoodies, and lit up social media with talk of the band's emotional songs. The clique's dedication became a driving force, amplifying the band's reach through online chatter and personal testimonials. The buzz around the band reached a fever pitch in early 2012. After fielding offers from multiple labels, Tyler and Josh ultimately signed with Fueled By Ramen, an alternative music imprint under Atlantic Records, known for launching the careers of bands like Fall Out Boy, Paramore, and Panic at the Disco. They announced their signing in true 21 Pilots fashion, live on stage at a hometown show in April of 2012, bringing their ecstatic fans into the celebration with them. This moment felt like a fairy tale leap. In just a year, they'd gone from playing for a dozen friends in a dive bar to inking a record deal with a major label. Teasing what was to come, the newly signed duo released a 3-song EP in the summer of 2012, appropriately titled 3 Songs. They also hit the road, opening for acts like Neon Trees and Walk the Moon, introducing their high-octane performances to bigger audiences for the first time. I still remember the first time I saw 21 Pilots perform live. It was on that tour with Neon Trees and Walk the Moon. The date was August 14th, 2012, and the venue was the Majestic Theater in Detroit, Michigan, which holds about 1,100 people. And if you can believe it, the venue wasn't sold out for this show. I went to the show specifically to see Walk the Moon, and I remember 21 Pilots just completely stealing the entire show. So much to the fact that I left during Neon Trees' set, because after Walk the Moon was done and Neon Trees started, I felt like I had already seen all I needed to see that night. I liked Neon Trees enough, but 21 Pilots left a lasting impression on me. The stage was set for their first major label album, and the pressure was on to prove that this unconventional duo could resonate far beyond Ohio. 21 Pilots' major label debut album, Vessel, arrived on January 8th, 2013. This was a watershed moment for the band. Vessel was a sonic playground where Tyler and Josh refined their genre-blending style. Pop melodies colliding with rap verses, rock instrumentation meeting electronica, and deeply personal lyrics ring out over upbeat hooks. Many songs on Vessel were polished-up versions of tracks from their indie days. Holding On to You, Car Radio, Guns for Hands, Ode to Sleep, and Trees were all re-recorded from the Regional at Best era. In interviews, Tyler called Regional at Best a glorified mixtape, implying that Vessel felt like their first true album in terms of professional production and cohesive vision. The new recordings crackled with intensity, and Vessel slowly but surely found an audience. One of Vessel's strengths was the band's visual and emotional identity, which continued to evolve. They continued to release striking music videos, with media outlets beginning to notice. Their first taste at radio success came when Holding On to You hit number 10 on the alternative radio airplay chart. Far from an overnight sensation, 21 Pilots were rising through relentless touring and a genuine connection with fans. And by 2013, they were tapped as openers for Fall Out Boy on a major arena tour, exposing them to massive crowds across the country, winning over Fall Out Boy fans at each show. On August 8th, 2013, the band made their late-night TV debut on Conan, playing the song House of Gold with the same passion they brought to Columbus clubs. 2014 saw 21 Pilots grind even harder to break into the mainstream consciousness. They became festival regulars, Lollapalooza, Boston Calling, Bonnaroo, Firefly, just to name a few. This culminated in their first ever headlining tour, the Quiet is Violent Tour, in fall of 2014. This saw the group graduating to mid-sized venues and selling them out, confirming that the once local phenomenon was blossoming into a national cult favorite. By 2015, 21 Pilots had built a strong foundation, in the perfect position for a breakout. On May 19th of that year, they would release the album that would change everything for them, and that album was called Blurryface. This record would introduce a fictional character, also named Blurryface, that represents Tyler's insecurities and fears, a concept the band conveyed through visual motifs like black paint on Tyler's neck and hands. The music struck a nerve. Blurryface debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 134,000 copies in its first week. Compared to the slow burn success of Vessel, this was a stunning jump. It became clear very quickly that something about Blurryface was capturing the zeitgeist. The singles leading up to the album hinted at its range. Fairly Local was dark and electronic. Tear in My Heart was surprisingly upbeat and romantic, and written for Tyler's wife. And of course, who could forget Stressed Out, one of their career-defining songs. Stressed Out exploded with popularity in late 2015, showcasing relatable lyrics about the anxieties of growing up and nostalgia for childhood. Propelled by a playful music video featuring the duo riding tricycles through suburban streets, Stressed Out climbed all the way to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. It eventually went 13 times platinum, becoming one of the biggest hits of the decade. And suddenly, 21 Pilots were everywhere. You couldn't turn on a radio or walk in a mall without hearing the song. The album yielded multiple hits, with Ride becoming their 3rd Diamond certified single, and reached number 5 on the charts. In fact, at one point in 2016, the band had 2 songs in the Billboard Top 5 simultaneously, Ride and the song Heathens that the band made for the movie Suicide Squad. In rock music, this was a feat previously only accomplished by the Beatles and Elvis Presley, a historic moment that underscored just how massive they had become. Blurryface was so successful that as an album, every single one of the 14 tracks earned at least a gold certification or higher, making it the first album in history where every song was certified by the recording industry of America. The rise of the band from obscurity was no longer in question. They were bona fide superstars. Throughout 2015 and 2016, Tyler and Josh rode the wave with wide-eyed enthusiasm and their trademark goofiness intact, bringing their live show that originated in Ohio to the next level with elaborate stage production. During shows, Tyler would disappear and reappear atop balconies. Josh would drum while crowd surfing on a platform held up by fans. The duo's physicality on stage became legendary, and their fans began to expect the unexpected every single night. The band would be catapulted into the awards show circuit as well, performing at the American Music Awards, where they not only performed but took home the awards for Favorite Pop Rock Duo and Favorite Alternative Artist, becoming their first major awards ever televised. As a nod to their influences, in September of 2016, the group contributed a haunting cover of My Chemical Romance's song Cancer to Rock Sound's tribute compilation. And by the end of 2016, 21 Pilots was arguably at the peak of their fame, and they marked this occasion with an appropriately strange gesture. For the 59th Grammy Awards on February 12, 2017, they won the Grammy for Best Pop Duo Group Performance for Stressed Out. When their name was announced, Tyler and Josh stood up and promptly dropped their pants to accept the award. This wasn't a shock value moment, it was a fulfillment of a promise. Much to the amusement of the audience, Tyler explained that just years ago, before the band was famous, they were watching the Grammys at home in Columbus, sitting around in their underwear, and they jokingly vowed if they ever won a Grammy, they were going to accept it exactly like that. And in that moment on live television, they closed the loop on an inside joke that originated in Ohio and broadcast it to millions, a perfect encapsulation of how far they'd come and how they hadn't lost their sense of humor. After the whirlwind success of Blurryface, 21 Pilots decided to give back to the city where it all started. So in the summer of 2017, they launched the Tour de Columbus. a week-long hometown celebration featuring sold-out shows across venues they'd once played on the rise. From the tiny basement to the massive nationwide arena, each venue told a different chapter of their journey, giving longtime fans a rare and nostalgic experience. They even curated a fan art exhibit called Artopia, putting a spotlight on the global community they had built and the creativity the band had inspired over the years. But then, they disappeared. As hinted at in earlier interviews, the band went dark for a full year. No online presence, no appearances, just a final post of an eye closing over their lyrics. The silence became a mystery in itself, fueling fan speculation. Hidden clues and cryptic files began appearing on a new website at the URL dma.org.info, revealing a fictional dystopia called Dima and a new character named Clancy. Their brand of storytelling expanded beyond the music, with their fans unraveling the lore piece by piece. In July of 2018, the band finally re-emerged, this time with new yellow branding, a bold new logo, and the launch of what would become their most ambitious concept to date. The era surrounding their next album, Trench, kicked off with a bang, with two singles, Jumpsuit and Nico and the Niners, dropping simultaneously, each with high-production music videos, pulling fans straight into the world of Dima. By the time they released a third single, Levitate, it was clear that Trench would become a full-fledged concept album. When the record arrived in October of 2018, it debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, earning praise by critics for its narrative depth. All 14 tracks on the album charted, and fans embraced its symbolism, especially the use of yellow tape, which contrasted sharply with the red and black aesthetic of the Blurryface era. On stage, the Bandito tour brought this world to life. The duo scaled catwalks, disappeared into the crowd, and performed on suspended platforms, transforming these arenas into immersive theaters, headlining massive festivals like Reading and Leeds. While back home in Columbus, they were honored with a street temporarily renamed 21 Pilots Boulevard. Even while on tour, Tyler teased that the Trench story wasn't finished, hinting that deeper layers were still to come. While the COVID-19 pandemic paused live music worldwide, the band adapted fast. In April of 2020, they released Level of Concern, a quarantine anthem, created and recorded from home. The video showed Tyler and Josh mailing a USB drive back and forth, layering the track in real time. They also launched a never-ending music video that looped fan-submitted clips for 178 days straight, which earned them a Guinness World Record. Later that year, dropping a tender holiday single called Christmas Saves the Year. By May of 2021, they were back in full force with Scaled and Icy, an album written and recorded remotely. In contrast to the dark themes of Trench, the record leaned into bright, pop-forward sounds with a polished 1980s vibe. The livestream experience that accompanied it was a virtual concert that rivaled live shows in ambition, featuring elaborate sets, a live backing band, costume changes, and callbacks to earlier eras. The livestream was such a hit that they released it in movie theaters the following year. As live shows began to return, the band launched the Takeover Tour, a week-long residency model where they performed in a club, theater, and arena in the same city. It was a meta-narrative of their rise, replayed city by city. They even staged a virtual concert inside Roblox, and performed reimagined versions of their songs for MTV Unplugged. By the end of 2022, they had expanded their creative reach. In early 2024, fans noticed something odd. The covers of Vessel, Blurryface, Trench, and Scaled and Icy on streaming services had been subtly edited, each overlaid with a strip of red tape. The seventh album, Clancy, arrived in May of 2024, with every song receiving its own music video, creating a complete visual album. They kicked off the Clancy World Tour that August, and in a major cross-media moment, released the song The Line for Netflix with Arcane, later performing it with a live orchestra at the Game Awards. At a 2025 show in Poland, Tyler surprised fans by performing and officially releasing a demo of their song Doubt that had never been officially released. That very same month, a fan stole one of the band's drums, straight from their show in Manchester, and fans were quick to track it down, further demonstrating the bond between 21 Pilots and their fan base. And on May 21st, the band surprise announced their next album, titled Breach, which is set to release in September. The first single, The Contract, was released just this month, and it's one of the band's most promising songs in a very long time, at least in my opinion. What makes 21 Pilots so fascinating, it's how much they've trusted their audience to come along for the ride. They've taken risks, gone completely silent, reinvented themselves again and again, and still managed to hold on to something real and deeply personal. Not many bands can go from opening acts to headlining arenas. And yet, here they are, 15 years later, still evolving, still asking big questions through music that feels massive and intimate at the very same time. And the truth is, we don't know where this goes next. That's part of what makes this band so so interesting. But if the past is any indication, 21 Pilots won't just surprise us. They'll challenge us to dig a little deeper. Once again, thank you for watching this video. You could have been anywhere on the internet, watching anything at all, and you chose this video. And for that, I'm grateful. Where were you when you first heard 21 Pilots? Let me know in the comments below. My name is Tyler Common. This is Common Revolt. We'll see you next time.